I'll come back. 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 I'll come back.
No technical difficulties yet. I'm waiting for it to say that we're online. Now we're online. Now it's telling me about Elder Scrolls Online Greymore.
Same.
Does that count?
Let me tell you about Raid Shadow Legends.
God damn it! That was gonna be my intro. You stole it.
This is brought to you by Skillshare. 5, 4,
That
3.
picture a targeted advertisement that's just telling people about your OC. Based on your YouTube searches, I think you really get my pony, and then just the ad keeps going like that.
All right. Hello and welcome to the Barcast, where the bar gets lower every single week. Your bartenders for this evening will be a non-pencil, Enigmatic Otaku,
in stereo.
Flamorpher,
Sponsored by Mainscaped.
Milk,
Not sponsored by anything.
and my name's Flutterpriest. This week, we're doing a deep dive into a really wonderful group on Fanfiction by interviewing two of the top mods over there. One of them, the creator who helped Aquaman run the Brony Con bookstore, as well as an amazing series of writing that I can't possibly list off every single hit. The great and powerful Jaxie.
Hello!
As well as the writer of Past Sins, Background Pony, Cupcakes, Rainbow Factory, ROBCakeran53, also known as that guy who wrote My Little Dashi.
Is that ROBCakeran53 who wrote My Little Dashi?
Why, I think it's ROBCakeran53
Holy
who
shit.
wrote My Little Dashi.
Did you write My Little Dashi 2 Dash Harder? Oh my god.
See, this is where sometimes I'm glad I'm not on here so often anymore.
That's what changed my life.
Wow, man, you got greeted by adoring fans. You're so unappreciative.
Is this the guy who did Town Bike?
Whoa, hey now. You're an all-star.
Get your game on! Go! For those who are tuning in for the...
Mass hysteria!
For those who are tuning in for the very first time, hello and welcome.
Those poor fools.
We're the Barcast. If you want to know more about us, we'll talk about it midway through the cast. But we're going to interview people today. We're streaming live on Twitch right now, but you can see previous editions on YouTube, Google Play, iTunes, and many more, where we have interviewed people like Bill Newton, Andrea Libman, John Delancey, and ROBCakeran53, who also wrote My Little Dashi.
Yes.
They're
Wait,
lovely
were you
and
talking
on
to me?
pencil.
I'm
No.
feeling very much like the third wheel here.
Don't
No.
worry.
Yeah,
Don't worry.
Jassy is supposed to be the big wheel on the tricycle. I'm
We're
like
just going to get through our intro and talk about the rules for people in chat, and then we will harass you endlessly and probably hit on you rather sexually.
That's true, I will.
Well, I appreciate that. Thank you.
The lovely and on pencil is going to be watching the chat. Pencil, what are questions we want to ask our guest?
I'll ask the guest anything at this point, but I won't ask the questions that you never ask. I won't talk about politics. I won't ask about religion. I won't ask about fandom drama, and I won't ask them personal information like their social security code, actual address, or place of business. You know better. Don't do this shit. I will ban you. However, I will ask that question because we already have one.
Oh shit! Go on.
We have a question for. We have to do the drinking word first.
Oh yes. If you hear the word writing at home, be sure to have a nice healthy drink. Please drink responsibly. We don't want to send someone to the hospital again. Dylan, without further ado, Jaxie, you have the first question from the chat. The question is, how many My Little Dashi big is your penis?
What? Oh.
You sound so disappointed. That's the question.
You know what? I think that's my answer. That same sound of disappointment and the sad face I made staring at my screen, that is the answer that question deserves.
That's wonderful. I'm already a fan. Well, that said, we've asked Rob these questions literally a fucking million times. So, Jaxie, I'm going to focus on you on these introductory questions. Let's do with a very basic introduction. Who are you and what do you do in the fandom?
All right. Hey, everybody. As mentioned, I'm GaPJaxie. I joined the fandom when I was in college to win a bet. I was dating a girl at the time who said she was going to be a writer but didn't write really anything. I wanted to nudge her to write, and so I made a bet with her. I bet I can get 1,000 people to read my writing before you can, fully intending to lose the bet, and picked My Little Pony fanfiction because I figured that's got to be easy, right? I wrote I Forgot I Was There, which was a knockout of the park success. I owned the feature box for about 5 days, decided that maybe this is for me after all, and then ran into a guy called Petrichord, who is the world's greatest editor. And he told me my writing sucks. To prove him wrong, I kept writing, and I've kind of been here ever since. I've written a few stories that were really good but need more love, and I've written a few stories like Would It Matter If I Was that were terrible and just became a meme. And I'm mostly known for writing sad and depressing stories.
Well said, well said. I find that so interesting. How does your friend that you were trying to push to write receive your unanimous My Little Pony fanfiction success?
We're not dating anymore.
Oh, God! I'm sorry.
Yeah, I won't say that was the cause, but I'm also not willing to say it's unrelated.
I don't know how to process this. This is not usually when I'm used to hearing.
Good job, Chris! Good job!
Well,
Star!
she is still in the fandom. She still writes. I don't believe she listens to the Barcast, but we will know if she hunts me down and kills me.
Oh, well, fuck. Okay, let's keep you alive and steer away from that then immediately. Priest, why don't you ask some different questions?
Yeah, I'm just going to take the shoe out of my mouth and go to, what is your favorite part of the fandom? Is it the online community, fan fiction, cons? What keeps you here?
So the show, particularly in the early seasons, was and is amazing. But it was actually the community that kept me here. So, like, the reason I write fan fiction, I made it sound like a joke earlier, but was literally Pascalite. He is a fantastic editor who kept encouraging me to be a better writer, and I mostly stuck with it to prove I could be. But there's lots of other people like Pat Fiera, Titanium Dragon, others who have been super encouraging as I was writing, and without a lot of that support, I would not have stuck with this as long. Like, the show is good, I love it, but the community is 100% the reason why I'm here.
Awesome. Well, I actually have a question that Rob's never answered before. And if Rob does have something to input, I more than welcome him to add this, but this is what we've been asking our guests recently. Season 9 is over, and we're moving into this weird place in My Little Pony fanfiction, or My Little Pony world now, where we're going to Gen 4.5. Where we're getting pony life created. EQG is big and kind of still running strong. The show is, by its original form, over. So where do we, as a community, go from here? How do we keep this alive? How do we expand and keep growing, if that's something we need to do?
You had to give me this question. Basically, we need to continue to push fan-oriented content. There's still a lot of artists out there doing stuff. There's still a lot of fanfic writers doing stuff. There's still a lot of musicians. What's the other big thing? I guess, YouTube reaction videos, stuff like that. Just YouTube clipping things. Just keep making content for it. I mean, there's not going to be another Gen G4. There's just not going to be another one. Regardless if, I like you were optimistic as saying Gen 4.5 and not hoping it's 5, because I fully expect just fires. I expect everything to burn. Like, I have the fire suits red alcohol. But, yeah, we just need to keep doing stuff and introducing people. Because, like, for instance, Discovery, or it's not, Discovery Family, they've been doing it for a while now, but they now have MLP on every morning at 11 to noon. So when I'm home, I pop it on and I watch a couple random episodes, because they're not always in order. So they're still pushing it, they're still doing stuff with it. It's still a franchise, it's still there. It's just, yes, we're not getting new content for it, canon-wise. But I also don't believe that. I feel like, even though the show's over, are they going to put out other little snippets? Like, they say they're doing the Equestria Girl shorts, fine. But I feel like, for instance, we've seen those new Goofy animations, Pinkie Pie. They're kind of a different thing, but it's still Pinkie Pie, still the character. And I assume that new Pony Life thing is all the characters, if you shoved a blender down their throats and then pulled it out, and that's what's left of them. So they've all gone completely insane. Or I like to think that they're all going to be survivors after a Saw incident. Like, this is them now broken. But we just need to keep pushing on, keep writing, and introducing people. Even though the show's over, there's still a lot of shows we can grab. Sorry, literally someone's texting me, and I started reading the text out loud. We need to start showing them, introducing them to the show, and go from there. Just keep pushing along.
Are you reading from a teleprompter? Also known as your phone?
No.
Well, I don't know how Jaxie's going to top shoving a blender down Twilight's throat, but what would your take be, Jaxie? How do we keep our fandom, our community together, growing, and strong?
I mean, I'd say we're mostly already doing it. Like, when somebody writes a Fallout Equestria story, they don't say, I am going to ensure the fandom has plenty of self-referential content in order to build a strong and vibrant community. They just go that Fallout Equestria is cool, which it is. The fandom has generated a ton of stories that are good enough. They have, meta fanfiction, fanfiction, a fanfiction, a fanfiction, and it is in fact fanfiction all the way down. As long as the community keeps producing enough good stuff that people want to keep writing about, it can just keep going indefinitely. There's enough stuff in NLP and Equestria Girls and the shorts and everything that's already been released to write more than we've written. And I'm sorry, Rob, I think Pony Life might be good. It might not be. The odds are against
Have you
it.
seen Teen Titans Go? Have you
I'm
seen
sorry.
Teen Titans Go?
I have.
If you say it's good.
It's not good.
If everyone is
It's
Pinkie
not good.
Pie, then why would Pinkie Pie be there?
I'm sorry, I might have made that sound bad. I'm actually optimistic for it, but I still think it's going to be bad. But I'm optimistic. I'm hoping that, wow, I was proved wrong. Great.
It is, but there's just a tiny chance that every character other than Pinkie Pie will be Pinkie Pie, and Pinkie Pie will be on a mission to restore the space-time continuum to its original state before Starlight broke it. There's a small chance that is going to be the overarching plot.
You are so much more optimistic.
Honestly, I want to read that fanfiction.
I'm just saying, there's a tiny chance when they do G5, Starlight Glimmer is going to be the Lich from before time who's trying to bring back G4.
Yes. I would like also to add that because you also asked me that question, I should plug in the Rocket Raccoon thing that they're doing. That one thing where we're supposed to be keeping the show alive that I forget about, and I get pinged a lot in it, and I kind of ignore the pings.
Yeah, I understand. I left that project, but
don't hate me.
Now it's time to throw swords at your guys' feet because we're having a paired cast, and we're gonna change the 5th question. Who is the best pony you two can agree upon?
I mean, Starlight Glimmer, and if he doesn't agree with that, I'm sure
You know what? You know what? You know what? Yes. Because I have to agree with Jaxie, I'm not going to argue it. Yes, because I do actually like Starlight Glimmer. She is the Glim Glam. I do love her as a character. So I will accept that being our answer together.
Yeah.
You can't shim sham the Glim Glam.
Seriously, season 7, 6, 7, and even 8 and 9, she was such a fun dynamic to the show that I feel like if they did not introduce another kind of mainish character to help change things up, the show would have gotten bland and stale really fast.
Yeah, she saved the show, and also, like, prior to Starlight being introduced, Rarity was my favorite character, because she has a lot of character conflicts. She's the element of generosity, but she's super greedy. She cares about her friends, but also takes advantage of them a lot. She had a lot of character nuance. Starlight takes that up to the next level, with being somebody who really genuinely means well, and is really genuinely not a good person deep in their heart. And they're trying, but it's not working out for her.
She's Pickle Rick.
She's a stalker who worked her way into the friend group.
But she is, and like having her and Trixie be air quotes best friends was perfect. It so succinctly captures how she's part of the group, but is not really part of the group. She sees the world slightly differently from the rest of the main six.
All right, well, we got some very, very quick questions from the chat. Cyber Drake asks a question to Rob. Would you hug a gold Raytheon?
What is that?
It's a monster from Monster Hunter. It's the big dragon, the big green dragon thing.
What's Monster Hunter?
Moving on. Zontan has a question. Hey, Rob, if I write that fic right now, will it count for the contest? What contest is he talking about, Rob?
So currently in our contest, our group that we are supposed to be shilling right now, speaking about continuing the fandom, during our podcast, I am hosting a contest to write a story based on random people's questions in our comment thread. And I'm also extending that now to allow them to use our answers to make story prompts, and I'm extending the contest an hour. I'm about to post that right now. So yes, Zontan, you may do as you wish, and you'll have an extra hour, so goody you.
Hooray! Now then, without further ado, we have some questions for you guys that are out in the thread.
Yeah.
Why do I not have it open right now? I'm a terrible person.
I think you just answered your own question. Also, Shelling, do you like riding and/or ponies? Would you like to improve your skill at riding and/or riding?
Golly gee willikers, yes.
Please consider. Oh God, what do we call this chat again? My Little Story speed riding contests. So, since I don't think we actually explicitly said it at any point, what the whole speed writing thing we're supposed to be shilling is you show up with no idea what the prompt is going to be. You get a prompt, a premise for a story, and you have exactly 1 hour to write, and then the buzzer goes bing, and you're done. And the reason these actually help is it literally does not give you enough time to have writer's block. There's no time. If you, like, I don't know what happens next, the answer is you don't have time to think about what happens next. You need to be pushing the keys right now.
And then we also host other contests that are not the speed writing. They're kind of more like you have a day or two to build your story and write. And there's other kinds of contests other than just speeding. But the point is, we're trying to encourage people to write.
Yeah. I think the biggest problem that a lot of writers have, whether they're new or experienced, is you want your story to be perfect. And so you keep thinking about what exactly should happen. And as a result, you write nothing. So even if, the contest, frequently these contests have no prizes. If they do have a prize, it's usually something small at the end, like a pony pin or something. But the structure of the contest gets people writing. So a lot of really kick-ass stories have come.
I'm going to start doing contests with prizes, but the prizes are just random things I pull out of my house.
I was considering doing a contest with Wild Pegasus brandy as the prize at the end. Apparently shipping alcohol across state lines is hard, but you know what? I'm willing to commit a felony for this.
I mean, let's just drive it. I'll just get my 51 Chrysler going, and we'll just moonshine it.
So there's a prompt I want to see someone write for this contest. I'm willing to commit a felony for this.
There we go.
There you go. That's a great prompt for any story writing contest, and I'm in favor of it.
Yes.
I am also picturing Rainbow Dash, because of course it's Rainbow Dash, carrying a cartload of illegal moonshine across state lines because somebody won a racing contest, and damn it, she's no narc.
Oh, did you ever see? Remember back when this was way early fandom days when people were doing those animations about the ponies driving vehicles to music, and someone did one of Pinkie Pie and Rainbow Dash in a semi and the Bandit car. It's so good. The Trans Am.
Yeah.
Great stuff.
Well, let's jump out to the thread because I'm a responsible adult and I have them up now. RB-47. I mean, RB-47 makes fun of Milk for not spelling the guests' names correctly.
He can eat a dick.
And then asks, which of your stories are you most proud of?
Go ahead, Jaxie.
All right, I'm going to say Around the World in 81 Days and Other Problems Caused by Leap Years. So this was for a contest that Horizon ran that I think I may have slightly overdone. There's a video game called 80 Days that's just it's a little point-and-click adventure game about, you being Phileas Fogg from Jules Verne's Around the World in 80 Days, and it's a race. You have to get around the map in 80 days or less. So for some reason, I looked at that and decided, you know what the problem is with this game? You can get to the end without crying so hard you die of dehydration. And turned that into a tragedy called Around the World in 81 Days. It is a Spike story. And I like it because it's the first Spike story I've written where he 100% feels like the main character without my having to make any significant changes from the show. He still acts like Spike in the show. He's still Spike's assistant, but he really kicks ass as the protagonist. I love it.
See, does he die in it?
No.
Then I will probably not read.
Thanks, Priest.
Wow.
No.
Wow. Okay.
No. I actually, there's quite a good deal of stuff that I have on my read later list for you. But Rob.
Yeah, I'm sad. I wanted to buy the book because I heard it was a good story, and I'm like, okay, I want to buy the book. I went to the bookshop at BronyCon, gone.
I have good
I'm like,
news.
well,
You can buy all of my books right now on Lulu. The link is on my profile page on Fanfiction, and they're available for low prices.
Sorry, but I'm one of those that I like to buy in person. I don't like shopping online. So next BronyCon that's being held at my house if I get lit to FinFic Mod 2020. But Rob.
No, I will buy Jaxie's book and then bring it to TrotCon, and then I will PayPal Jaxie the money.
Sounds good to me.
Because you need to buy my book, Rob.
I bought your one book.
You did?
I bought remember I was literally sending you edits from my phone?
That's right! You were a massive help.
Yeah.
I don't give you enough credit.
That's alright. I don't
Speaking of not giving you credit, you didn't answer the question. Which of your stories are you most proud of?
So, if Admiral's still in my other room currently listening in on this, he might like this too. It's actually a more recent story I did. It is YCH, which stands for Your Character Here. It is a story about the Your Character Here auction art pieces that's set in Equestria, and it's about these two models that it's a mature story. It's about sex. It technically has sex, but it's not. There's not the real action going on. It's about a married couple, Mare and Stallion, that do poses for artists that do demo work to sell the art to do paintings for other ponies that want art done of them and their significant other, or if they want to fantasize them in Celestia, because people do that. And it's
stock ponies is what they are. They're stock photo ponies.
Yeah, basically. And it's very slice of life. I wanted to challenge myself and really write a slice of life like story, inspiration from Admiral stuff, and that's what became of it. And it took him 4 weeks to help me edit it. And we actually were editing it in my barn. Like, he would come over and we'd have my tablet and we were in my pole barn, usually under a vehicle up on my hoist, editing it. So that was the last story I had that I really enjoyed writing, and I had a good time editing, even though it was frustrating. And unfortunately, it just wasn't very popular. But that's okay. To me, that means it's actually a good story because it did not become popular. So I'm actually very proud of that, and I'm very thankful to Admiral and Present Perfect and Freggles and a couple others that helped with it.
I helped.
You did.
Anyway, Hawthorne Bunny's up next. GaPJaxie, you have questions, 4 of them to be exact. Number 1, I've tried many times to articulate the emotions that your stories make me feel, and I just can't. How are you so bloody amazing?
Really tossing me curveballs here on this one. I would suggest 2 things. First, you need to write every week for about 12 years. And second, you need to have crippling depression. And the rest is pretty straightforward.
Yes.
One of those things.
Is it
I
the
can-
writing?
I think it's the depression.
Yeah.
But I also have that, so he's in good
All
company.
right. You're halfway there.
It's 2020. Everyone is
No.
depressed.
We're
There's no
living
such thing
on
as
a
happiness.
Okay, more serious answer. So the core conflict in most of my stories, which is why most of them are tragedies, even though nothing bad actually happens, is you are the source of all of your own faults, even though you're not actually a bad person. Maybe you are, maybe you're not, but that's not why. So when I'm actually experiencing an episode of depression, I don't write very much. I think a lot of writers exaggerate the extent to which depression or anxiety inform writing. But the point is, I've had plenty of times in my life when I go, everything is going well, I'm surrounded by friends who like me, why am I still miserable? And that's the theme in a lot of my stories, that nothing is objectively wrong with this character exactly, but for some reason they keep making their own life awful. And there's just a lot of variance on that. It's great.
Shit, that's deeply relatable.
Yeah. I think we all do it.
I don't think you're wrong.
Yeah.
I don't think at all.
I can verify that.
I thought it was awful.
Back
I'm glad to
to
have Rob here. We need someone to bring the room back up after I answer a question.
Let's go to the next question.
speaking of worshiping Jaxie, where did the idea for acting verse come up? Is it inspired by anything?
Yeah, so I get to plug something else. There is a website called writeoff.me, exactly how it sounds. That is the OG of pony writing contests. They tend to do more involved contests than the speed writing server. You usually have something like a week to write, so it's a little more intense. They ran a write-off a long time ago where the prompt was interview. And this led to the first acting verse story. So if you have not heard of acting verse, it is a series of 6 stories set in an alternate universe where My Little Pony Friendship is Magic is a live-action children's TV show recorded by 6 pony actors. Acting verse, each story is about one of the actors. It starts with Star Power, who plays Twilight Sparkle. So the first one was just an interview with Star Power for some, acting magazine, paparazzi style. And they ask her a lot of questions about her co-stars. And to make it an interesting one-shot, because it was written for a contest, I wanted to kind of imply there might be something there. So she has a implied interesting relationship with all of them. But because she's interviewing for a magazine, she's not going to come right out and say, I hate that bitch's guts. She's going to veil it a little bit. So she has these interesting relationships with the other 5 in the original story, and then a lot of people wanted a sequel. So I said, well, I guess I have to write it now. And so literally for each of the other 5 stories, I went back to the first one and was like, okay, who is this character? And what is implied about them here so I can go figure out who they are. And it worked out pretty well. It's a good series, and everybody should read it. And you can also purchase it as a hard copy on Lulu from my user page.
Well said. And next question is actually about the acting verse as well. For you, who is your favorite acting verse actor?
Barnstormer. So for those who haven't read it, Rainbow Dash in the acting verse is played by an actor named Barnstormer. Barnstormer is the, quote, Mary Sue in real life. She is the straight-A student, star athlete, pro chef, professional actor. She is 17, and literally everything she's touched in her whole life has turned to gold, and she's the primary source of income in her family, and she's cracking under the pressure. Because everything in her life has gone so well, she knows that it's all downhill from here. It's never going to be this good again, and she's on the verge of snapping. So she's the character who is literally in pain because life is going too well. And I've been there a lot.
Wow, I just want to give you the biggest hug right now.
Life worked out.
I would like to add, though, I remember seeing that story pop up, and I didn't read it. But I was laughing because the company I work for, it's called Barnstormers. And I was like, oh, hey, okay. So.
Well, the next
find me.
point, the next question is, what did you think of Wanderer D and GaPJaxie's takes on your story Siren Song?
So that's a little awkward to answer because I assisted both of them writing those respective takes. So for people who don't know, Siren Song is my epic 3-book crossover between My Little Pony and BioShock. And it's amazing and everybody should read it. But the point of Siren Song kind of as a story is the protagonist is not an action hero. This is an action hero setting where you could totally beat the bad guy by killing the entire population of Murder Town, just like you do in BioShock. But Siren, the titular character, would struggle to fight her way out of a wet paper bag, so it takes on much more of a horror aspect. So a lot of the emotional tone of Siren Song is that the character is helpless, that it's a horror movie, you can't fight the monster, if you do, you'll just die. And so she has to clever her way out of these situations. Wanderer D's crossover with it maintained that, because he put Sweetie Belle in a situation where while she, Sweetie Belle from the Sweetie Belle Chronicles kicks ass and is a very powerful character, but she was facing a situation she couldn't fight her way out of, so it preserved that feeling of helplessness. GaPJaxie's take took a very different direction. His take was much more about a group of characters run into the horror setting and want to fix it, and spoiler, realize they can't. So I liked both of them, but I guess I'd say Wanderer D's felt like fan fiction of Siren Song, while GaPJaxie's felt like his own story that just happens to use the Siren Song setting, although it was really good.
Cool. Well, the next questions are for Rob, which is some statistical trivia for you to know. Mine from Film Archive. Including your story.
I actually
Please go on.
No, go ahead. I just made the comment that I was looking at that.
Including your story, My Little Dashi, there are a total of 50 published fics on Fanfiction whose title is directly based on My Little Dashi, comprising a total of 479,000 words plus. And those are not including ones that do not use My Little Dashi in the name. There's an additional 30 such fics that were never published but do use that name. The third oldest fic on Fanfiction is an unpublished text fic by Nighty called My Little Dashi's ''S, although it doesn't contain any original fiction.
Yeah, so that's crazy. I never knew that, and it's funny as I'm actually looking at the list right now, and I recognize some of these because I didn't read a lot of these stories that people wrote because I'm terrible and I just didn't want to be mean to people. But there's a few here I recognize that I know were actually okay. The 6th birthday one I remember, and there's another one. But yeah, and then I'm glad that he didn't mind my actual parody / actual sequel is on here. The My Little Dashi 2 - Harder. That should belong there. And you got to read My Little Dashi. That is probably one of the best parodies I've ever read of MLB. And I've only read 2.
Well said. Now then, for both of you guys.
Actually, I just need to interject this just for a moment. Rob, your stories are great, and I'm going to let you finish, but Would It Matter If I Was has 79 spin-offs, not including the original.
Okay, well, that's cool.
I'm sorry, it seemed like you were having fun, and I really wanted to take that away.
No, it's fine. Honestly, I don't have fun in life anymore. I just drink and work and do, so... I totally got where you're going with that, so we're good.
Okay.
I got you, Jaxie. I got you.
All right, feel sad.
Yep.
Speaking of not having fun with life, the next question is, for both of you, what one mistake would you like to stop all authors from making? So, in a take that doesn't include Rob crying,
Yes.
what one mistake would you like to stop all authors from making?
Writing MLD sequels.
Ha!
Yeah,
Write more.
Not getting pre-reading.
Ah.
So I have, with one exception, which was a speed writing event. I have literally never published anything that at least 2 people didn't read before I published it. And a lot of my stories after the first pre-reader looked at it were rewritten entirely because the pre-reader pointed out that it's stupid, and I agreed. Have other people look at your writing who aren't just going to tell you it's great, and your writing will get much better, much faster.
Yes, that's a good one.
Well-
I do have an actual one, though. Like, I was joking about mine. I do have a serious one. Overuse of the thesaurus. I feel like some people, I don't know if they're just trying to sound smart or their vocabularies are actually that big and their brains are that large. Like, but I feel like sometimes stories need to be simple. And especially for newer authors, it's like, don't worry about having a lot of the nicer, fancier words for things. You know, just, oh God, sorry. Oh God.
What's happening right now?
I was like having a combination of a burp, belch, and like
Are you gonna
freaking
throw up?
acid
Dude? Are
attack?
you gonna throw up on cast again?
No. Hey, I don't think wait, have I thrown up on cast?
Yes.
You absolutely have.
Yeah,
That's right.
I remember
It's on
you
the-
saying that the cat that you had nearby was licking up the vomit, and I want to throw up hearing that.
Whoa, you're all being very unreasonable. If he was drunk enough to throw up on cast, obviously he's not going to remember it. This is ganging up on an innocent man.
But that does explain the stay on the floor. But anyway, no. Like just keep it. You know, don't like if you know the word, if you know a lot of words, so fine. But I feel like I sometimes see people trying to just interject words in that are overly complex words. I'm like, why would you use this odd word like this? You can just write a little more simple and enjoy it. Because I've pre-read for people and edited for people that are just so focused on using alternative words other than what's just stupid right there in your face. I just go, stop overthinking it. This word is fine. You don't have to blow it into a, whatever word.
Rob is right, and the most notorious example of this is book setism. So that is when you have 2 characters talking, and the author is afraid they're using said too much. So they look up the word said in the thesaurus and start making substitutions. Fluttershy opined. Twilight posited. Rarity speculated. Just say said.
Thank you.
Snape, she ejaculated.
Oh, damn it.
Also, here's the thing. You don't even need to say said. If you have 2 characters talking, you can go back and forth without saying said sometimes because it's clear who is speaking between the order of the 2 characters.
Yep.
So, like a lot of authors, what they're intending to do here is to avoid talking head syndrome where there's just a bunch of dialogue back and forth. And I get it. That is 100% a legitimate desire. But you can't just insert random words and descriptions into what is basically extended dialogue, because that's how you get Would It Matter If I Was, which has been mocked by most of our good authors for being a very severe case of book setism.
Yeah.
Oh, all right. Well said. Now then, we're going to a question from Boreal Stargazer, which has some questions about my little story a little bit. How do you speed fic? I mean, seriously, how do you write a fic without knowing the theme in advance, with little to no preparation, and in such a little limited time without it being awful?
Lost syndrome.
Check out.
Really?
Really? What?
Okay, Lost syndrome. So there's this TV also known as Battlestar Galactica syndrome.
Okay.
These are 2 shows that had an amazing first season because they foreshadowed a really cool mystery, like what's going on, who is really there, what's up with that extra Cylon. You really want to know. And then you get to the end of the series and realize, oh shit, the authors didn't know either. And the resolution of the mystery is incredibly unsatisfying. They did generic foreshadowing without necessarily knowing what was going to happen next. That is how you do a speed write, only you endeavor that the ending doesn't suck. You foreshadow things without necessarily 100% knowing what you're foreshadowing. You just kind of want it to be on theme. And then when you get to the end of the story, you have to look at what you've written and fill in the gaps and conclude what it was you were foreshadowing the whole time. And that's good maybe like 50% of the time based on our success rate in the past. But if in an hour you have a 50% chance of writing a good story, that's not bad. You can clean up the details later.
I think that's pretty well said. Rob, what do you have to add?
Panic.
Yes.
I basically what I do is I don't do so well with like prompt stories because we have different contests going on in our group, and what we do quite often is ones where we announce saying, okay, at this date we're doing this contest. You have an hour, 2 hours, blah blah blah, and even if we don't get the prompt until like 10, 15 minutes before it, I always feel like I'm writing a story beforehand. I'm like, okay, so what can I do? I feel like, do I want to write a comedy about, like, I don't know. And that bothers me. A thing I do, my special talent in our server is I host these things called Panic! Fiction! All caps. It is where I will just, when I'm really drunk at home or at work or other things, I just all of a sudden go in the group and ping everyone and say, Panic Fiction in 10 minutes, and just prompt them and go. And I roll dice to see how much time you have, how many words you can have, and all this stuff. And it's like, go, go, go. The point is, you don't have time to prepare. It just happens and you do it. And if people are around, great. I've had as little as 1 people. I've had as many as 10 people. Or 8. I forget, it was 8 or 10. But, and you know what? We've had a surprising number of those stories. People take them, expand them, and become very good stories. So that's, for me personally, that's how I like doing speed writing. I like to all of a sudden just be hit and said, hey, in this amount of time we're doing it. And I go, oh, okay. And I make it work. Or if I can't, I don't. But that's how I like to do it. So that's why I host it like that.
And speaking of the speed writing server we're supposed to be promoting, do you like writing and/or ponies? Because we have 3 speed writing contests we're running tomorrow. Those are the ones I run, which are on themes. So we don't know the prompt yet, and won't know the prompt until the contest starts. But the themes are distant lands, the joy of youth, and the beautiful future. So that usually gives people a prompt and a rough theme, so it's a little easier.
Yeah.
And by the way, while we're here, this is also sponsored by L'Oreal, because you're worth it.
Well, actually, to move on to the next question, Muckiny's up next. Number 1, between you two, who would win in a fight?
Rob.
I mean, okay, if there was a rule set fight where, okay, boxing, go, I would probably lose. But if it wasn't all of a sudden me and Jaxie show up on each other's opposite street corners and we had to fuck shit up, I would probably win because I wouldn't even fight. I'd just draw and be done.
Dude,
draw shit done.
You weigh literally twice what I do if you only count muscle.
Probably. I mean, I have a lot of muscle hidden under the fat, so everyone thinks I'm fat. And then they watch me doing stuff.
I've seen the size of the objects you can lift when you're intoxicated. There's a lot of muscle under the Okay. 3 BronyCons ago, I challenged Aquaman, also an excellent writer, to an arm wrestling contest over who had the better Bioshock crossover. But then told him he couldn't fight me until he fought my 7 evil editors. And 7 people, some of whom actually were my editors, rose up out of the audience to fight him. So I got to arm wrestle Aqua with 7 people also pushing or pulling on his fist, and I lost. I am not very strong.
Jesus.
Not very strong or not very strong? I heard you say strong.
Yeah, he's very hung.
He definitely said the version of the sentence that doesn't make sense.
Anyway, why don't we rapid fire the next questions because they make little sense. Priest?
Which do you prefer?
Yes.
Nipple piercings or the Prince Albert way?
Depends who's getting the piercings.
Prince Albert in a can, yo.
Depends who's going to be my princess.
Gross. Don't be gross.
Now we have Zontan up next, who asks, how do you come up with ideas that are unique and interesting very quickly?
Real life experiences.
So I'm actually gonna. Oh, go on.
No, I'm just like, a lot of times there's something about a story that's actually like real life to me. That's usually how I just come up with an idea. But go ahead.
So I'm definitely going to double down on that. Real life experiences, also studying history, reading other stories, just getting as much exposure to humans as you can.
Mm-hmm.
But, so Rob and I don't give the same answer. I'm actually going to say for the most part we don't. You come up with a premise quickly, but the details of what actually makes it interesting usually take a while.
And that usually just kind of comes as you write. Like you're writing, you're setting things up, and you start out with it kind of not knowing where it's going, and then by the end you're like, oh, well, I guess we can do this. This is fine.
So like with Around the World in 81 Days, that story I'm so proud of. The only premise I had when I'm writing it is it's around the world in 80 days. Twilight makes a bet with Celestia if she can get around the world in 80 days or not. But the protagonist isn't Twilight, it's Spike as her assistant, who's just trying to get her around the world in 80 days, despite the fact that Twilight is often her own worst enemy. And a lot of the details of what the story's about and who the world is weren't solidified until I was 4 chapters in.
Well said. Now then, we're going to go to Seton, who asked, number 1, what is your favorite meal, snack, or food stuff that's really unhealthy, but it's just so good?
Oh, no. Go ahead, Jaxie. I have one, but go ahead.
Tostitos corn chips. So I know that doesn't sound super unhealthy, but if left alone, I will literally eat an entire bag of those in one sitting without salsa or anything. I'll just keep eating corn chips.
You are one of the first people I met that also does this.
They're so good, right?
They really are.
They
It's
are
like
so
the
good.
salt. It's like the salt and the grease that's on it. It's just like, oh.
Dude,
and the scoops are not the same. The scoops are not the same.
No, scoops are not the same. Do you take a regular one and like put it in your mouth and wrap your tongue like around the curl of it?
Yes.
And like just sit there? Yes! Oh, so good.
This is really, really gay. Milk, is this gay? Can you confirm, Milk?
I thought we were talking about sucking dick almost. Like, what the fuck?
Yeah,
I don't know. If they're still listening to the room, Zirin will tell me here in like 30 seconds if that's it or not.
Fucking worried I left the gay porn on again. Like, holy shit.
Like, I zoned out for a bit, and when I come back in, I hear them licking the curl end for salt.
So my answer to this is might creep people out. I don't know how people are to it, but my guilty snack food, and it's actually not. Oh no, this is meal snack food. Okay. So garlic bologna.
What the fuck is wrong?
What?
I'm upset.
So there's this little company in Ohio that makes garlic bologna. And they're not very widely known. I can't remember the name of the company. But it used to be when we would drive up north to camp, usually everyone would buy the regular bologna, so all that's left is the garlic bologna. No one liked it. So we were up north, usually half drunk. We didn't know what we were doing. We would just buy the garlic bologna. And it got to the point that because I love regular bologna. I love Kogel's, Michigan brand, go Michigan. This garlic bologna, I love it. I can really just sit there and buy a 2-pound pack of it and just eat slice after slice after slice, and I have to like control myself around it. I love garlic bologna.
Rob.
This is the most disturbing thing I've ever heard.
You may in fact be gay. First you're talking about putting your tongue into like the curves, and now you're talking about like the salt of the bologna. So
it's not salt, it's garlic. I love garlic.
I do too, but I'm Californian, so I have an excuse.
Garlic my balls.
Excuse me. In Michigan, we have an excuse also because we have bad mosquito issues, and mosquitoes are proven to not like garlic because they're bloodsuckers like vampires. So when you eat enough garlic that you sweat garlic, bugs leave you alone.
Imagine becoming such an insufferable human being with garlic BO just to get rid of a few mosquitoes. Oh my
Put
god.
on some deep,
How
motherfucker.
fucking
Anyway.
fucked are you?
Anyway, we should move on because we can talk about garlic forever. Please.
Number 2. What is the biggest or weirdest fear that you have, Jaxie?
Okay, I'm gonna be honest. I had a drink every time someone said the word writing, and as a result, just had to run to the bathroom. What was the question?
What is the biggest or weirdest fear that you have?
I have a terrible fear of dying an ironic death. So you know, like in a movie when the villain, like it's a Disney movie or something, so they don't want to explicitly kill the villain, so instead he makes one last leap at the hero and then slips and dies, so there's the narrative implication that his villainy was the cause of his downfall. I'm terrified of dying like that.
That's oddly specific.
Yeah, I know. I really don't want my last words to be something that dramatically foreshadows how my death is ultimately caused by my own moral lack of virtue.
Good.
You create like a super vitamin that gives everyone all the health they need, but you choke on one.
Yeah, exactly. Something like that. Or like saying, don't worry, it's not that cold outside, and then slipping on the ice and cracking my skull. Anything
Here, hold my beer.
I think here, hold my beer only works as an ironic death if I'm hit by a flying case of beer and killed.
Rob, can you relate?
My problem is a lot of my fears are based on childhood. Like, I have issues with, like, hornets and bees, even though nowadays I don't care. But every once in a while, if I'm surprised by it, I still get that tingle up my spine, and I kind of freak out and have to catch myself. And also heights. But now if I know I'm going up ladders a lot, I just have a couple shots of whiskey, and my nerves are calm, and I'm good.
Man, that must really suck if you have to use a ladder at work.
Oh, I do. I don't care. They just don't question me. I just say, whatever, we're good. Oh, what's terrifying is when I have to go up the man lift, because we're changing the lights in the hangar to LEDs, and so, I'm 30 foot in the air with this man lift thing that wiggles back and forth. And then the mechanics walk by and harass me, grab it and shake it, and I'm going, yeah, up there, Yeah.
Good. This is good.
Fireball shooters on sale for 99 cents at most party stores. Yeah.
The next question is, why is bagged milk the best milk?
I have no response.
Does Jaxie...
I think if you look at my story history, you'll see that dragon's milk is the best milk.
Does Jaxie know what bagged milk is? Does Jaxie understand bagged milk? Does he know?
No, Jaxie does not know.
Please continue, Pencil.
I'll give the quick rundown. So, in Canada, they sell milk in bags. And by bags, I mean plastic bags of milk. So, when they take home the milk, and they all have milk pitchers. Now, if you came home with a bag of milk, and you had a milk pitcher, what would you do with the bag of milk?
I would presumably tear it open and empty it into the pitcher.
Yes, that is correct. That is what you're supposed to do.
But you're wrong!
Do you know what literally all Canadians who drink bagged milk do? And this is seriously a thing?
What?
If you look behind the counter, I will post an image that will show you. This, what you're about to see, is what Canadians do with bagged milk.
Okay. My God. What is wrong with this country?
Do you understand?
For those on the podcast, I need to describe what I'm seeing. They have taken the bag of milk and placed it inside the pitcher, such that the plastic frame of the pitcher acts as a vise of some kind, holding the bag of milk in place. Then they've cut the corner off the bag of milk, so you can pour the milk out of the bag as though the bag itself was a pitcher. Effectively, the pitcher provides the structural support to the bag required for the bag to also itself become a pitcher.
That is correct.
How does that make you feel?
Well, I didn't like it at first, but then I described it in architectural terms, and now it's kind of cool.
Do you know how they seal it?
I'm going to guess a clothespin?
They have special milk clips that they sell.
Are they like clothespins?
Let me go find one.
While Pencil's finding
they're
one.
kind of like clips.
Yeah, but we can move on. But
Yeah,
it's
I do have a comment to make real quick about this. The talks about bagged milk are funny to me when I talk with automotive people that are like they think they're automotive people and they're really not, about pouring jugs of coolant. And like there's a certain way you hold those gallon jug bottles because they're if you notice they're kind of wide and narrow. Well, everyone pops it, takes the cap off and pours it with the hole down at the bottom, and the jug is vertical. Well, actually, they're designed because there's an airway hole in the handle to pour horizontal. And when I show people this, they get mad at me. Now I'm like, well, what are you doing? I go, I'm pouring air freeze. This is how you do it. No, you don't. You do it like this. So I'm like, no, you don't. You don't do it like this. I don't have pictures to test this, but it's
okay. We should definitely move on. But like, it's so upsetting. Sorry.
It's upsetting to me.
The next question is, what is your one annoying habit? So something that you do that drives people insane, or something that other people do that you just can't stand. Jaxie?
So this came up today. So I wear noise-canceling headphones when I work so that I won't be bothered by the people around me, and then forget to silence my phone, but I can't hear any of the alerts, alarms, or text things going off because I'm wearing the noise-canceling headphones. So apparently everyone else in my open plan office wants me dead because they can hear every time I get texted all day long, which is approximately once every 5 seconds.
Yikes. Rob?
Hey guys, shut up! What is an annoying thing you really hate about me that I do all the time?
Go out and shoot your gun for no reason.
Okay, there we go. I apparently just go out and shoot my gun for no reason.
Milk, how do you respond to this? You told him to go out and shoot his gun, so he did!
Look, and the problem is, I've done it a lot, and to the point that some people don't even flinch anymore. And it's like, well, I just like the smell of gunpowder.
There goes the neighbor again shooting at ghosts.
Yup. Okay.
The next question is, what's the theme song for your sex life? Not all at once.
Shut up and dance.
Aww. That's very sweet. Or creepy, depending on...
Yeah, like, how is that sweet? Like, what's the theme of your sex life? Shut up and dance! Like, oh, okay.
So the girl that hopefully I'll be marrying soon as well, that song was playing when we were running a marathon, and I swept her off her feet and kissed her, and the other people running the marathon got annoyed with us, and so they pelted us with, what are those Mexican wraps? Tostitos. They threw those at us.
I can't even really be mad at your answer.
No, that's
because
good. I like that.
I also have heart feelings for that song.
Yeah.
Same.
So, Rob, what's the theme song for your sex life? And then why is it...
I don't know. I really don't, because I don't have a sex life.
All by myself.
I would see, but I was trying to be me and think of a song that would actually be like that. But that's an older
You and your
I guess I'll have to dream the rest. Tommy Dorsey and his orchestra. I guess I'll have to dream the rest. It's basically a song about a guy that it's a very depressing song. It's basically about a guy that finds a girl that he likes, and it doesn't go well, so he just has to dream the rest of the night.
All right.
So there you go. That's my sex song. I guess I'll have to dream the rest.
Would your song be called "Caught Me One-Handed" by Bob Rivers?
Jesus
Christ. That's good.
Oh, that's... Shut up, Enigma. Continue on.
I have a list of birth centers in Equestria.
Priest!
Number 6. Do you guys watch anime by chance?
I have been known to anime on occasion.
What are your favorites?
Sword Art Online Abridged.
My man.
They took a show that had a wonderful premise and that didn't realize it, and then realized something entirely different and much worse.
I could see it. I agree. My favorite parts of that anime were the beginning.
No, Sword Art
nothing
Online
else.
had a fantastic premise, and actually, Sword Art Online is another example of syndrome. When they were just foreshadowing, and you didn't know what they were foreshadowing, it was great. But when the time came for the authors to pony up, they didn't have anything.
Hey, punny.
Hey, pony.
I watch little anime. Like I'm more of one of those that if someone sends me, links or whatever, and I watch it and I like it, okay. I like more of the short ones. Full Metal Panic has always been one of my favorite ones. The original Fullmetal, the second raid. Then I like Excel Saga, which if you watch a lot of the old school animes, every episode is a spoof off of an anime genre. And then Magical Shopping Arcade Abanabashi. Those three are like...
Flam, you should watch Fumafu if you haven't. Like, you just should.
Oh my god, yes!
Yeah,
like,
no, you should.
Fumafu is one of those that you don't need to really know Full Panic to watch and enjoy
Flam, you
it.
would like it. Flam, you would like it.
Yes, yes.
True.
Duly noted.
Yes. But, Magical Shopping Arcade Abanabashi is a very underappreciated anime.
I think you mean Akihabara?
I have no clue. I'm an American.
just
I just pronounce it as I
Does
see
he
it.
know what he means?
Never.
It's Magical Shopping Arcade Abanabashi.
Akihabara.
I'm American. I read it as I see it. I don't know.
Anyway.
How big is your porn stash, gentlemen?
Do it, check, do it.
I think Rob has multiple, roots.
Yeah.
No, I don't know the number, but it doesn't matter because I was detained in Canada for it, and they tried to export, they wanted to see if the state of Michigan wanted to take me and arrest me, and the state of Michigan laughed at them and hung up on them. So they just said, okay, we're going to take your laptop and your cell phone, but you can continue in Canada.
Why were they looking at your porn stash on your phone and
Because they didn't like me. I tried to go to Canada, and apparently I look like either some jihadist or I look like a Southern American,
But
and they don't like either of those.
Porn stash. How did this come
Because
up?
I was taking my laptop with me. Because I took my laptop with me. Because I had a tab up.
No.
I was reading a story.
Details of this scenario. You walk up to customs. They say you look
No,
like the
I didn't
Indian
walk up.
jihadist
I didn't walk up to
Bravo.
customs.
Yes.
No, okay. You I can literally waste 15 minutes on this story.
Just explain how they ended up looking at your porn. Is it your desktop image? Is that what your desktop is? A file labeled?
No, it is not at all. It was not at all. It is not at all. It was, they found too many things they didn't like about me, so they decided to search everything. And sure. I just was like, I don't care, sure. And they basically said that I was because this was during the time when the subway guy had the trouble, and so they were on search places. And apparently everything about me screamed a bad person because they didn't like the fact that I carried 2 spare tires, I carried a spare battery, extra coolant, a jug of coolant, extra oil, all from my car.
I get all that, but how did they find the porn?
They took my laptop! They just took it! They took it to a back room, they plugged it into something, and something triggered, and they said, well, apparently your file is over 16 gigs that houses any pornographic material, so therefore we are detaining you, and we're to search it. So an hour later, they say, okay, we did a percentile search of your data, and we have found things we think are questionable. So you are now into detention. So they had me strip all my shit off of me. Took my wallet, took everything off of me, took my belt, my suspenders. I was in socks, I was in my pants, I was in a t-shirt. And they went through my shit and went through my car 3 times. And they were like, okay, well, we have to send yourself off to another lab. Because when they told because they have to notify the state of Michigan that I had things that they didn't like and so that's why Michigan laughed at them.
Okay.
So, 16 gigs of My Little Dashi porn got you detained in Canada.
Ta-da!
It's like I got. You know what? Yes, let's just go with that.
Yay!
And
For everybody listening and participating in our associated speed write, this is your story prompt for the next hour. Rainbow Dash
Yay!
is detained at the equestrian border for having too much porn in her saddlebags.
We have great. We have one more question from Sam
Oh,
before we
no.
have to do our mid show ad for ourselves. So next question.
Who is your waifu or husbando, and why are they shit? Note they can be from any fandom.
Oh, that's a good one. The for any fandom bit is throwing me.
see, mine's simple. I can go real quick while you think.
Do yours.
Okay, I'm really not part of many fandoms, or the fandoms I'm part of are like trash bands that people don't know. But Applejack.
Why
She's-
Applejack?
Why not? She's best pony.
Oh, here we go.
Yeah, she's smart. She knows her shit. And she has the
She's-
damn hat.
She's
That damn amazing
unambitious
hat.
and static. Her
You
arc
only
is
like her
over.
because if she was human, she'd also be shooting out the window alongside you.
I mean, she would.
I mean, that is, to be fair though, for choosing a waifu, that is a legitimate basis. The girl who would go shooting out random lights with, street lights.
Yeah. I mean, that's great to me. That's fine. I'll take that.
So for me, I think I'm actually going to go with Trixie.
Ooh.
Why Trixie?
So
Very powerful.
Starlight is my favorite pony, but she's got more of a best friend vibe going on. I'm going to be honest, I like hanging out with people who are kind of a hot mess as long as they're fun to be around. And
That's Rob.
Trixie just embodies them.
I love how fast! I love how fast! Pencil was like, that's Rob! I love just how fast that was! Were you guys at Trixie's party Sunday night at BronyCon?
No, not Trixie, not that Trixie.
No, I know you don't mean that, but I mean Trick Question's party at BronyCon. Were you at the party?
Maybe I don't know, but we have to do our mid.
I think we had to fly home.
We have to do our mid-roll ad. Blake, hold on. Let us chill for some horse charity for a hot minute.
Hey, Petzl.
Hey, what?
Fucking horses.
Fucking horses, please.
Yeah, we sponsor them. That's it. That's that.
Yep. Well, no, we sponsor them, and we all the money that you give us, including the money we get from bits on Twitch, she can get for free by clicking a little diamond in the lower right and watching an ad or two. If you donate your bits, those will go straight to a horse charity called Red Wings Horse Sanctuary. And if you are the biggest donator on the stream for bits, we'll read your name at the very end. You can also go to the website. Thank you, other guy, because Alex didn't do it. And donate through our Patreon. That way, there are a couple perks, some of which you'll get, some of which you won't. But you can donate and be sure that your donations go to a horse named Lil Bit that we sponsor, who is being cared for by the Rescue Sanctuary. So thank you for doing that. Did I miss anything, Priest?
No, I think you covered it. Just once again, we want to thank you all so much for supporting us for such a long time. We're so happy that we're able to help Horse Rescue so much. If you have a spare dollar, please consider donating to our Patreon. We promise you'll probably regret it in like 6 months.
Over the years, we have given like over $1,000 to this charity. So please
Yeah.
continue to help us do that.
100% nonprofit.
Woo!
We have more questions. Just Lightning is up next. Both of you, Jaxie and Rob, have inspired so many people to start writing fan fiction, and even just fiction. I know I've said this to both of you guys before, but I think it deserves another repeat. Don't ever forget how much you've contributed to this community.
Oh.
That being said, what would you tell someone who has yet to write their first fan fiction? I imagine there are a ton of people listening who have always wanted to, but never felt they could. Plus, show for the speedwriting Discord. Also, pennies suck.
Pennies are the worst.
How? I'm gonna shut up. We're running out of time. I'm gonna shut up.
What
Okay,
do
go ahead, Jackson,
pennies
go ahead.
do? What purpose do pennies serve in our present society?
5 pennies make a nickel.
What do
10
you buy
pennies
with a
make a dime. It doesn't matter what you can do with them. It's that when you add them up, they become something else.
Yes, we used to have hay pennies, which are half a penny. We stopped having hay pennies because we recognized you can't buy anything with half a cent.
But that's fine, because you save. A penny saved is a penny earned. You save those pennies and they become dollars.
Okay, yes, if I saved literally 100 pennies, I would have $1, which doesn't buy soda anymore.
You know what? Lincoln was wearing a fucking hat in theater, and if he's wearing a hat theater, I'd shoot him too.
Oh my god.
Motherfucker! What is wrong with you? What did you just do?
The advice I would give to someone who has not written their first fan fiction yet is do not be afraid to shill for views. So I think there's this idea that people have that if you're a good writer, you just write the story kind of in a vacuum and put it out and people flock to you. And that is complete bullshit. I spend a lot of time stressing out that my stories aren't good. And I said earlier, I've never published anything, with one exception, that hasn't been read by at least 2 people. Most of my stories have been read by 10 people. I get a lot of feedback, and thanks to how awesome this community is, I usually get a lot of positive encouragement. If I had to write a story just on my own with no guarantee anybody would ever read it, I think I'd snap. So like with our speed writing contest, one of the advantages is if you write in the contest, usually 5 to 15 people will read your story and will leave comments, and that encourages people to be writers.
Well said.
That's good. That's good.
We're going to questions from the seer now.
That's fine. I don't need to answer it. I don't have opinions. They don't matter. Continue on.
You already said that pennies were totally fine, so we don't trust your opinion now.
Okay, go for it. Good.
No.
Continue.
No, please. What would you tell someone who's just writing their first fan fiction?
I would say be ready for anything. Expect nothing, but be ready for everything, and vice versa. Expect everything and be ready for nothing. Because as someone that was a nobody and all of a sudden exploded everywhere, there's no real way to express it and explain what I went through. But just be ready. You know, don't want to be the famous person or the famous story writer or whatever. But build yourself up and be ready, because if it happens, it's going to happen. It's going to hit hard, and it's going to possibly fuck up your life. So, there you go. Continue.
I actually think that's pretty decent advice.
Yeah.
Seers up.
I mean, MLP Poor did get him taken by custom.
It's true. Seers up next. What were your primary goals when starting Quills and Sofas?
So to be perfectly honest, I wanted to run a speed writing contest, like literally one, and thought, you know, maybe I'll run a second one in the future. I guess I should like start a Discord or something. And then we had enough people attending, and I work a pretty hard job that doesn't give me much time to be on Discord. So I said, well, I can't administrate this server on my own anymore. If I'm going to run a second contest, I should probably appoint some moderators, including, you know, this guy. And honestly, everybody just ran with it. So I'd love to say that I made Quills and Sofas happen, but I didn't. I made a Discord server, invited a bunch of people, and then all of our mods collectively made something happen. They keep running contests. Rob does Panic Fiction. They invite more people. It's really a community project.
It's very heavily community. It's that really is. That's the key word, is that we talk to people and invite and inspire and do, and it's just, you know, we just, it's not, you know, like Jeff said, Jesse started it, and he's still part of it, he is it, but everyone does something for it. I mean, when people get their stories featured, and they have a link to the group, we usually get a couple people join, and they get, ooh, what's this? And not everyone participates all the time, but it's you're there, you're involved, and hopefully eventually you do. And that's the main basis of that, is that, you know, what was the primary goal? The primary goal is to write and be active and share.
Right. So, I mean, that's very well said. I mean, you could, by sharing what you guys are creating the self-perpetuating, self-contained support group.
Yeah, I mean, so like I said, back when I started, the reason I stuck with ponies is because I got a lot of really fantastic editors. And that was back in the day when you could just go on Reddit and say, mods asleep, post ponies. Also, anybody want to edit my fan fiction? And 3 people would say yes. Obviously, those days have passed. We will never see the like of BronyCon again. But we've managed to create a community where somebody can show up and say, hi, I'm an aspiring My Little Pony author. I have a first draft of my fan fiction. Can anybody give me some constructive criticism? And you'll get criticism that is actually constructive and helps you grow as a writer.
Yes. Also, if you vote for me in this 2020 election for FinFic Mod, you will get BronyCon again.
Politics!
Hey, this sounds like politics! Next question!
Olden Brony's up next, and since
you just burn it all down.
Up next, Olden Brony, who says, yay, it's the author of Amigo and the Great and Powerful Jaxie.
Hey, Olden Brony, you should write that story we talked about at BronyCon. You had a really good idea.
Also, hi,
Hey,
Olden,
Olden.
I love you!
Alden, how's your typewriter doing? Hope it's doing really good. I fixed his typewriter. Rebuilt some parts of it for him.
Freggles is up next. Aren't these the dudes who wrote Past Sins?
Yes.
Collectively,
We totally
yes.
did. Together. Hand touching hand.
No, stop. This is getting gay again.
No, it's straight up. It's hoof touching hoof.
RK Striker JK5 is up next, who asked for the both of you. What is your favorite non-MLP franchise?
God, why don't you just ask me which of my hypothetical children I like the most?
I mean, that basically is the question, yes.
Oh, God. I mean, there's so many good ones. They're good for different reasons. Like, I could say Fallout for having a richly realized world and an incredibly strong core theme. And it's true. I love the Fallout series. But everybody loves Fallout. I could say Stellaris because it's basically a story generator. Even though it has no core plot, usually at the end of every game, there's a very cool space opera story that's resulted from it, and I love that. It's inspired a bunch of stories. But I'm actually going to pick Crosscode, which probably none of you have ever heard of.
I have not heard of this.
It is a video game. It is a top-down SNES-style RPG that is about a girl who is in a hospital bed with brain damage, and she's generally not responsive to her environment, but when they put a video game controller in her hands, she reflexively plays it. That is you. The game starts with the doctor handing you the controller, and so you log in and get the SNES-style RPG interface, and it is amazing for having a really rich world without explaining shit. Who are these people? What are they doing here? Why is this happening? I don't know, but I am somehow deeply invested anyway.
What is the name of this one more time?
Crosscode. Also, if you like,
I'll look into that. That sounds
action
interesting.
games, it's really good.
Yeah, I got my notepad. I'm running it right here. Crosspad.
Crosscode. CODE. Also, Disco Elysium, best game of 2019 and possibly best game of the last 20 years.
Wow.
Yeah, Disco Elysium's fucking amazing if you haven't heard it yet.
Okay.
Nope.
It's the average user rating is 100%.
Wow.
So, if I had to be hip with the youngsters, the weedy wax and all, I would say Borderlands. I love Borderlands stuff. But because technically they're franchises now because it's been how long and they're doing stuff. I love Johnny Carson and Carol Burnett. Their TV shows, and they are technically franchises now. So I love watching their shows and all that stuff. So that's to my old and brony spirited people out there.
All right, then the next follow-up question is, have you done any fan-related content for a non-MLP?
Yes. So for a few, probably the biggest one is Warhammer 40K.
Ooh.
a bunch of friends and I did an epic 40K campaign that had like 30 games over several months, and I turned it into a short book's worth of fan fiction. Also, I may have written like 2 million words of D&D related content so far this year.
All right. Well, cool. So when you write D&D content, do you write it with just the hope of doing it for your friend group, or is it something that eventually you want to share with the world?
So I run RPGs online, usually with play-by-post. So there will be a much more elaborate narrative-like feel where the players will get a lot of descriptive text and some richer characters and a lot more detail than you normally get in tabletop. And that's basically speed writing, only with no expectation you will ever edit it. So I write ridiculously fast. So this year I'm at about, since December, I'm at about 1.8 million words for that. And last year, I think I wrote like 2.5 million words total of D&D stuff.
Awesome. Well, the next question is from Short Skirts and Explosions. That guy who wrote Activerse. Short Skirt says, "What doth life?"
Life if not if, what if it if, but it if, what if, could if, did if, so we could if, did if, could if.
I think someone should call 911. Rob is having a stroke.
I can't top such eloquence.
Oh, not even for Skirts?
Skirts, you're an inspiration and or cautionary tale to us all.
Aww.
Skirts is my favorite person because I can go onto his fanfic page anytime and post MASH pictures or GIFs. That's the show, MASH, Mobile Army Surgical Hospital. And he will also send me them. He's a bro.
Skirts is a bro.
He's a bro knee.
Fucking...
I got a bro in my knee!
Now then, it's time for everyone's favorite portion of the cast. The other guy has questions for how do these make you feel? I'm going to post them here behind the counter. How does this picture make you feel?
Well, while Jaxie was answering that last question, I took a piss, so I don't have to excavate my balls right now, but why?
I'm going to say lackadaisical.
Lackadaisical.
It's not an appropriate answer, but neither was the question, so let's just...
Using your encyclopedia knowledge bullshit again.
I was about to say, we were just talking about thesauruses. Anyway.
Yeah, that word too. Okay,
Let's
are there
move
more?
on to the next question.
The next how does it make you feel is this one. How does this make you feel?
Bad. That makes me feel bad. And I regret that our fandom produced it. I feel slightly less happy for you having shown me this image. One slight is measured.
I'm not gonna lie, this image makes me feel this is how I feel when I wake up in my car in my driveway and not remember how I got home. This is just how I feel.
You
and I'm
like a lot, Rob.
I don't remember how I got home, and half the clips in my gun are missing.
Right? Wait, whoa! Half the clips in my gun. No, child.
Let's move on before Enigma has to be throttled by both the people in this house who think he's an idiot.
No, we're going to explain this. So there's clips, there's magazines, which is what you actually meant, and there's bullets.
There's also clipazines.
You forgot speed loaders.
No.
You're so short on time, Enigma, you piece of shit!
Into the revolver faster. It is fundamentally different from the clip magazine distinction. You'll know it's a clip because it looks like a clip. It is a metal clip that holds bullets. You'll know it's a clip that looks like a clip. It's an action movie because clips aren't cool.
Enigma, we do not have time for your bullshit. Stop baiting the guest.
Triggered re.
Speaking of baiting, we're going to Brian Fiction, who I'm going to go in a slightly different order on his questions because I can only ask so many. What do you think of snake ponies? Because, my God, this is adorable.
What's a snake pony?
For everybody who's
There's so many different ponies. I don't. Oh.
It's Rarity.
Oh.
No, it's not Rarity. That's Sunburst, isn't it?
What? Ooh.
That's an OC.
Admiral. What is this?
It's
What
cute.
is that?
What is that? I'm being asked. What do I feel about this? What is this?
It's a snake wearing a pony suit.
It's a.
Like that's what I do.
Just go to the bathroom. Okay. Just take. Okay.
For
Okay.
everybody doing
Does
the
he go
speed
with
ride
the-
and listening, this
Does
is
he go
your
in the
prompt.
ass of the body, or does he go ass to the head?
Let Jaxie speak.
Rarity is literally a giant snake wearing a pony suit. Fluttershy attempts to explain this to the others, but every time she says Rarity is a snake, the others just say, look, we've all known that the whole time. She's just a friend you kind of have to live with sometimes.
I want it. Let's write it, and we'll make Mama mad.
Oh man, that was good, Jaxie. That was good.
All right. What is your guys' opinion?
Literally, Admiral dropping the toilet seat came up on the microphone.
What? Are you making fun of me?
Keep going.
So we're gonna move on, so that way we don't have Admiral pooping as a sound on this podcast. What is your guys' opinion of Changeling?
So I'm going to steal a quote from Colden Gardez, who's maybe the best writer on fanfiction. Stories about ponies are stories about people. So pony fanfiction is, takes aspects of the human condition and uses colorful horses as a way of talking about it more accessibly. So the question is, what are you going to do with changelings? If you're writing them in your story, changelings can just be people with cool powers. That's, maybe the friendlier changeling picks. They can represent the other or something alien or something serious and threatening. They're just a really good storytelling mechanic because they can be anything, both, in the physical sense and in the narrative sense, because they're not well enough defined.
Well said. And then, because I'm awful, I'm going to ask, what is your opinion of the Barcast?
We are the bark ass.
I still don't know what that is, and I don't want to say it because kids think I'm cool.
I don't know what I expected for an answer. But we'll move on to Moostasm, who has, pardon me, not a burp. Number 1, if you had the chance to go to Equestria, would you consider it a vacation spot or a permanent residence?
I'm going to go vacation spot. So on the one hand, it would be very charming, the musical numbers and everything being pink. But eventually you're going to reach the point that you're going, I can't go outside without being a backup dancer in somebody else's big musical number, and it's getting annoying.
So
you just want to go to work, you step outside, and suddenly you're accentuating somebody else's first date.
Yeah, like vacation, because my vacation is going up north to a cabin in the woods with no electricity, no running water. You're shooting a hole in the ground, and guns everywhere. And while it's great for a week, maybe 2 weeks, after that 2 weeks, you start going, oh dear God, I want to go back to civilization. So, vacation spot.
I want to highlight your quote-unquote vacation seems very similar to either the world coming to an end or joining a terrorist.
I mean,
maybe
I'll say no to that last one, but...
This might be why Canada arrested you.
Yes, that was the joke I was going to make. I didn't want to interrupt anyone. High five, Jackson.
Okay, no. Canada, they still let me in the country. They just said, oh yeah, we're going to take electronic devices, but you can go in the country. So I went to a gas station and bought an Atlas and still fucking made it in time for other things.
Speaking of making it in time for other things.
Woo.
You get to replace one piece of historical artwork, including paintings, statues, literature, videos, with a piece of your own artwork. Your art receives the same amount of exposure as the original, the replaced work, including public showings, readings, school assignments, etc. What of yours do you replace with what, and how has history changed?
Oh, fuck.
Okay, so question.
Yes.
If my story about World War I is written before World War I, can I prevent the conflict?
I mean, I'm going to say Orson Welles says no.
Okay.
I'm also going to say George Orwell says no.
Okay. Then I'm going to replace The Catcher in the Rye, which is just terrible, and I don't understand why it's inflicted upon so many school students, with anything I've written, but ideally Around the World in 81 Days, because that's a goddamn literary masterpiece.
You know what? You're totally entitled to your incorrect opinion, so have fun.
Wow, okay. Okay, I think you're a phony. I think you're all a bunch of phonies.
I think The Catcher in the Rye is a right...
Enunciate. We're ponies. Get it right.
Phony ponies.
I think Catcher in the Rye is a right book at a right time for a lot of people, and I don't like it.
But anyway!
Anonymous is up next.
I will. If you don't know, my commission rates are up there. I charge pennies on the dollar for my commission art pieces for stories on fanfic. And I think my best one by far, if I replace the Mona Lisa with this, I think it'd be great.
Jesus Christ.
Oh, yeah, I forgot about that.
I was commissioned by a person for 2 cents to make a cover art for their Shining Armor X Nightlight Clopfic. So I did a Nightlight on Shining Armor art. And there's literally a Nightlight with Nightlight's horn mane on it, and a shield with Shining Armor's horn mane on it. And this story is on Fanfic. You can find it. I forget what it is, though.
I just shared it with the Twitch chat for them all to view.
Good. So yes, that I would replace it with the Mona Lisa and just let everyone be in awe.
Good, I think. Maybe.
Before we move on, just really quick, to our chat, due to time restraints, we're going to have to cut, if you asked a question, we're really sorry, but we're going to have to cut down the questions that we ask from the rest of the people to one per person at this point, because we're running low on time. If you still have questions, you can contact the authors themselves on Fanfiction. We apologize, but it's just what we got to do. Okay?
I will also add, if you got questions for Jaxie, put them over mine, because I've been on here a few times, so let Jaxie do his thing.
Thank you, Rob.
Yeah.
Anani Moose is up next, also known as Moose. Jaxie, will you mod me?
That depends on if that is innuendo or a request to be a moderator, because frankly, asking somebody to get naked in bed is less intrusive than asking to be a moderator on a Discord server.
Both.
Yes. Well, oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah, that went places.
Pencil and Moose in the same room is going to be a weird cast.
Yeah.
Alex _ is up next, who has a question for both of you. What's the worst thing you've ever had in your mouth?
Oh! Go first, Jaxie. Go first. Please, for the love of God, go first.
I don't know, actually. I've got to give a boring answer. I think it's going to be spoiled milk that was basically yogurt. Because I am super scared of spoiled food and bad things in general.
So, it was unknown. I work at an airport, so I deal with jet fuel and octane with low lead count in it. And our fuel trucks are different kind of trucks, but we just run airplane fuels in our fuel trucks because why not? So one day, the fuel pump quits in one of our fuel trucks, so I have to drain the fuel out of the tank so I can pull it out. Well, there's no way to drain the tank, so I start siphoning it, right? And I'm having issues getting it started. And this is a gasoline truck, so instead of running regular car gas in it, we run 100 low lead octane in it. And what happens is, I'm trying to siphon this fuel, and I don't hear it or notice it, but my coworker is coming up behind me to surprise me and say hello. So as I'm finally starting to siphon the take, I see the fuel going through the hose. He slaps my back and goes, "Hey, my name, how's it going?" I suddenly ingest half of a stomach full of 100 low lead gasoline. And I'm like...
You vomited, but if not, that might explain a few things.
So, first thing I do is, okay, I call my doctor. And my doctor is one of those good doctors. He's a chain smoker. He's a drinker. He brings his dog into the office all the time. Screw the people allergic to dogs in his practice. And I say, all right, so I just ingested a good quarter of a gallon of 100 low-lead octane fuel. He's like, okay, you should be fine. Don't drink any alcohol for 3 days. Don't induce vomiting. And good luck. And hangs up on me. So for the whole day at work, I am burping. And as I burp, you see fuel fumes coming out of my mouth and nose. And people are freaking out. I mean, like, my coworkers are legitimately, like, my one coworker came in, and all day, because I got this heartburn from this, gasoline, this 100 octane, and I'm belching constantly. He said, "Wait a minute, are you belching fumes?" I said, "Yeah, I drank some 100 low lead." And he just stops. He's like, "What is wrong with you?" So I went like that for a whole day at work, just belching fumes. If anyone got near me with a match or a lighter or anything flammable, I turned the fuck around and walked away. So that's the first thing I had in my mouth was 100 octane because I swallowed it.
Jaxie?
I mean, I gave my answer. Spoiled milk is the worst thing.
Oh,
Yay! Next.
Sorry, Rob's story was so intense. I pushed it from my mind.
Oh, no. It was good. I'm not topping that. I am the disappointment bread on either side of that spicy story filling.
You are not a disappointment. I personally enjoy spending time with you.
And we'll prove it with the next question for you.
Sire Nephis asks, how do you remain motivated to write?
Constant positive reinforcement from friends and peers. I think I'm supposed to say something inspiring now about like willpower or internal motivation. No, it's the fact that thanks to this fandom and also having many good friends, I basically have a cheerleading squad at all times telling me to keep writing. And when that craps out for any reason, my writing tends to crap out too.
Aw.
Writing is stressful, and getting reinforcement from friends and family that you're doing the right thing is incredibly helpful.
Awesome. Rob, how do you remain motivated? Alcohol?
Yes.
I love you, Rob.
That's I mean, I have very little motivation in life, but a lot of it comes from alcohol, so yes.
You make it sound like it's your go juice.
It's my functioning juice. It's like, it's not the functioning every day, it's the functioning that at night, I'm done, drink, wake up, continue.
Yeah, I'm also going to do some Zen master shit and say that you need to want to write, not to have written. If you want to have written, that is, you want to have a successful story, but are not exceptionally attached to the process of writing it, you will be impatient and frustrated with your own work. You will be annoyed by the small details. Writing is a shit ton of work.
Yep. No, this is super accurate.
Yeah. You need to enjoy writing the story for its own sake and accept in your heart that if nobody ever likes it, you had fun writing it, or you will fail.
And if you're writing for praise, there's never going to be enough praise at the bottom of that barrel to make you happy.
Don't start taking, man. Don't start taking.
I mean, I know it seems like that contradicts my previous answer, but like with speed writing contests, for that my cheerleading squad is just knowing that there's going to be people who read it and who will give me positive feedback and who encourage me to keep writing. But in those speed writing contests, like most of my speed writes are bad. Probably more than half. I get to the end and go, well, that wasn't. But the 30 to 40% that are decent, that's totally worth it.
Well, that actually ties into the next question by Psych Jr., who asks, has speed writing ever produced unexpectedly better results than your planned writing? Why or why not? Which I will definitely say that writing speed stuff or just trying to get something out has accidentally created really nice stuff for me.
It has. So I don't know how to measure better or worse because speed writes definitionally are different. When you're writing a long story, kind of the key to success is having a core narrative that's persistent throughout many short scenes. When you're writing a short story, you just have to nail that one scene incredibly well. So speed writes have resulted in a lot of really elegant prose that I would never have written otherwise because I'm pressed for time and it sounds cool and I just gotta go. But I don't know if they're any better or worse than my other stories. They're definitely better than I expected. You write in an hour and you think it's going to be crap, and mostly it is, but you pluck a few things out of it and go, oh, that's really clever.
Rob?
What?
Moving on. Next question is from Chad is the Bomb 04. Oh, God, which of these questions am I going to take? Number 6, what is your current favorite meme?
What is a meme?
It is a meme, but
Meme,
said
it's just-
incorrectly.
It's the Uru version of saying meme, pretty much.
I'm too old to give a crap.
Oh.
I am going old school because it's not, even though he says current, for me, current means different things, considering that most things I own are from the 1960s and back. War Garble will always forever be my favorite internet meme, but IRL meme, Kilroy was here. Always a classic. Always a classic.
Kilroy was here is a classic.
That's legendary. I mean, I could go like what the Toynbee tiles too on that route.
Yeah, they've traced Kilroy was here back to the Civil War. So,
look, I mean, there's like to rip on the previous answer. There's no such thing as a best meme, just the meme that's best for trolling the person right. Are leftist memes right? Are rightist memes right? There's no objective truth. There's just what will piss off the entire server.
oh my God, Jaxie.
Speaking of pissing off the entire server, Patch is up next. Patches, Heartface, we love you, asks, how many typewriters do you have and why don't I own any of them?
I have 2.
Do you?
Yes.
Manuals or electrics?
Electrics.
Ah, you fucking pleb.
My addiction to Facebook was bad enough that I had trouble sitting at the computer to write without distracting myself, so I figured a typewriter was the way to go, because I can leave my phone in my bedroom, drive off somewhere, and I have no internet access of any kind while I'm writing.
Okay, then that's respectable. I understand that. Patches make fun of me, I think, mostly in this. Technically, I think I have 18. I forget exactly. Functioning, I know I have 12. And Patches, you don't own one, because you've not come to a convention with me since Candlelight Gardens 2012, and said, Rob, can I have a typewriter? And I tell you, yes, Patches, you can have one. And I would hand-pick one out for you and say, this is a good one, have it.
Anyway, come to TrotCon.
Anyway,
Yes.
come to ShotCon. It's going to be a meme con, and we're all going to be there. So it'll be fun.
Oh, yeah. I'm already there.
You're already there. You didn't realize you drove all the way there during cast.
Yep.
Oh, no. He's drunk enough he can travel through time. He's actually at TrotCon now,
Oh,
when
shit.
it happens.
Give future me a high five.
Woo!
Did he lose all that weight he wanted? Don't answer that. Never mind. We're moving on to Flash Gen.
What?
Number 3, do you wish that more people read?
Yes.
Priest, that question is which of your stories do you wish more people read?
Which of your stories do you wish more people read?
Yes.
You know, for a second there it was about illiteracy, and now it's just about...
I know, right?
Yeah.
That's the biggest softball question.
Wow. Yeah, because I was gonna say something, but go
Which
ahead.
of your stories do you wish more people read?
So this is a tough one. I'm going to be honest. I think if you ask any author this question, the honest answer is all of them, because why wouldn't I want everybody reading my stories all the time?
I would argue that, but continue.
Okay, but I'm going to pick the one, which is what I think the author intended, which is the one that is underappreciated, that I didn't feel it got the attention it deserved. I'm actually going to go for that with Earth Ponies. It is the first time I ever wrote a love story. It's a really fucking weird love story, and I think it deserved more views than it got.
All right, Rob.
Yeah, I'm gonna fall back on the one I talked about earlier. My fic YCH. That was honestly one that I had a lot of hopes for, and it was a flop. Honestly, it was a flop viewer wise. It just every comment on the story is very good, but it just didn't get the popularity, which is understandable because it's a very niche thing. But I do wish that more people read that story, because that was one I put a lot of my heart and soul into, and Admiral spent a lot of time helping me edit, and other people helped me edit. But I just wish that was one that was like, oh wow, this is such a unique, weird story, and it just didn't.
Speaking of unique and weird, it's time to talk about Thing Pony from Jammer. Are you guys aware of John Carpenter's The Thing?
Yes.
These are questions for Jaxie, by the way. These, not me.
Well, they created Pony OC for them. John Carpenter's The Thing has been ponified. We have a link for you here in the chat. Would you hug Thing Pony? Would you kiss them goodnight? Would you tell them that every little thing is going to be all right? And most importantly, would you stick your peanut in her?
Okay, but since the Thing can take any form, isn't Thing Pony just the Thing?
Well, we're not going to get too hung up on semantics, but yes.
We're fans. That's what we're here for.
Touche.
Just say yes, Jaxie.
You know what?
Let's say yes.
I'm going to say yes to the first question, no to the second.
But would you penis it? Would you?
No, I don't clap.
But no, not. But it's. But it,
There's a limited answer.
But it could be anything you wanted.
Oh, right, but that's still assisted clap.
But
Just accept it. Just accept it.
No, I'm just saying, assistant clap sounds like a very old person wants to get off the pony.
This is the best speedrunning prompt of the cast.
Let's continue now.
Oh my god, it is. You're right.
I call dibs on that one. Everyone else, fuck off. I call dibs.
Okay, so next question, because otherwise I'll talk about Thing Pony too much.
If a plane leaves Minneapolis at 1 a.m. or 1 o'clock heading for Mexico City, a team of Pegasi start in the reverse direction at 2:30 and both parties cross paths in Ponyville, how many air traffic laws have they violated?
This is the question you decide to ask out of those three.
It depends on their elevation, because all air class spaces are in different letters: Alpha, Bravo, Charlie, Delta, Echo. So depending on what elevation they're flying at, the times don't fucking matter. It's all about, well, how high, how low are they flying? That's the real question. We're gonna airport, bitch. Get fucked, Ryder.
Good.
Jaxie,
good
do you have anything to add?
No.
Okay, because Lofty Withers wants to raise the stakes, and which is why I asked that question. You drive a train leaving Chicago westbound at 6 p.m. going over 100 miles per hour. Your cargo is life-saving medicine for an infant in the Medical Research Hospital in Iowa City. Halfway there, two protesters block the tracks in hope of stopping your delivery because they feel the child doesn't deserve treatment. This is getting scarily political, and I'm scared that I'm going to continue reading this.
Oh, this is...
You spot them in time to stop without injuring them, but if you do, your cargo won't arrive in time to save the life of the infant. If you don't stop, the protesters will surely die.
It's the trolley question. It's the trolley
question, but weak. Because you don't transport medical things by train. Everything is in air. It's usually helicopter or high-end jets converted to be crate haulers, but they throw organs in instead of crate.
No. Okay, it's simple. So I am a utilitarian, so I believe I should take whatever action results in the most lives saved. So I could look at this problem and say, well, the two protesters' lives are more people than the one child. Except the protesters, by virtue of having done something fucking stupid, are probably going to keep doing fucking stupid things over the course of their lives which will endanger them or others. So even without the child in question, society is probably better off without the sort of people who protest on train tracks. So I think I'm going to look at my phone for the next 5 minutes so I'm not legally culpable for what happens and just call it a day.
Blow up the train, kill them all.
Dude, I was going to nuke them all. Fuck
That's
everything.
kind of what I was thinking. Yeah, just break the brakes and then everyone dies.
Yeah.
Now it's time for questions with Mylon. Pencil?
Oh, it's time for questions with Byline.
Pencil, did I do good that one time I did it for you?
You did very well, and I'm proud of you.
Great.
Jaxie, how are you today?
I mean, I'm hiding my sadness well, which I think is what happiness means. So pretty good.
Fuck, I want to give you a hug.
Okay. For anybody who hasn't read my stories, or for anybody who has read my story, in the speedwriting chat, my handle is the Princess of Hiding Sadness. I'm just saying that's what you're in for if you look at any of my...
Now, last but not least, we have Freggles, who asks, Jaxie, a small fact, the last words of General John Sedgwick, just before being shot in the left eye by a Confederate sharpshooter during the American Civil War, is, they couldn't hit an elephant at this distance.
Oh, my phone!
That's true.
True. You don't want to die that way. I mean, I also don't want to be shot in the eye by a Confederate sharpshooter, but the South will not rising.
Well,
rise again!
we're gonna fucking stop!
Let's move quickly away from that. Priest, what are a few other questions?
Other questions. I hear a train off in the distance. I'm trying to go quickly.
Hey, Priest.
What?
Priest, you didn't ask me. Violet asked me how my day was today.
Oh.
How was your day? I'm sorry, iTunes. I'm so sorry, iTunes. Apple, please don't remove us from your platform. Which of your stories are you most embarrassed by how they turned out?
That's easy. So that's probably going to be Would It Matter If I Was? The one that spawned the 70-something spin-offs. So I'm just going to give you the premise, because if you haven't read it, congratulations. You're very lucky. The premise is that after the Canterlot wedding, Fluttershy asks Twilight, would it matter if I was a changeling? And Twilight says, but you're not a changeling, right? And Fluttershy says, I need to know if it matters or not before I answer that question. And it's just them arguing about it, drawn out into a few thousand words. And it was fine. Like, the story had some good ideas. The writing wasn't great. It had a lot of booksetisms. Many authors have mocked it for how terrible the character descriptions are. And it would just be a mediocre fic that I didn't remember much, except it blew up, owned the feature box for like a week, and has 79 spin-offs, and also got Reality Check banned.
Oh.
Good.
What was the question?
What story are you most embarrassed about how it turned out?
Oh, fuck. Yeah, Pencil, what story?
Ooh. Oh, I wonder what story it is. Could it, in fact, be a story you wrote with me?
Maybe, yes.
Is it a story about Spike becoming a toilet and eating shit, literally?
Yes.
Yay!
Oh, God. It was...
Don't tell
Like,
don't
it took me...
Don't say the title they don't need to know.
It's
Okay, that's fine. That's fine.
It's called Spike is a toilet. Like that's it.
It took me like 3 or 4 years to get my shit together. Oh fuck! I just said that. It took me 3 or 4 years to get myself composed enough, and that is as in drinking, to actually write it. And I did actually write the story on the shitter, and it was like I was writing what I was feeling, and it's all bad. It is all bad. And the fact is that it's everything. Every time I see people adding it to folders and to favorites, it's all these very positive, like, stories I loved, stories I jerked it to, stories I did, and it's like, and then the fact is that I wrote the worst part and Pencil didn't.
Yeah, no, it's true.
Yeah, I did. I honestly did, and I hate myself every day for it. But I can live with it, because that's how life is. You live with your life. You do what you do. You do what you did.
Well, last but not least, final question I'll ask you guys. Well, we can all come together under one universal banner of positivity. What is your opinion of Spike?
He is a character with a ton of potential that is, for the most part, underutilized by the show. I like. Really? I'm gonna keep going.
Keep going.
Yeah, it is. So, like, I liked in the last season that they started to have him grow a bit as a character. He got his wings. He kind of got over his crush on Rarity. I wish they'd done more. But there's a reason that for, like, the fic I'm most proud of and the best one I've ever written, it's a Spike story. Because Spike has, in the show, so much potential that the show does nothing with. So if you want to write fan fiction about a character, there is a ton of raw material there just waiting to be assembled.
Yeah, no, honestly, exactly what Jaxie said for me. That is honestly, it's that he didn't have, they did not do right by him. Like, he had, there were so many episodes where he was the smartish one and the one with the common sense, where especially Twilight didn't. It was like they underplayed him so bad. They could have done so much better with him. But yeah, basically what Jesse said.
Spike is at his best when he's the straight man for the main six's jokes. He's the one who is reasonable and has common sense and is even a little clever at times and sees how this is going to go badly. But because he's A, not a magical pony, B, male, and C, Twilight's little brother, nobody listens to him, and he just goes, it's not worth fighting it. They'll survive.
Yeah. I won't argue. Yep.
It's again, I'm going to promote my own story again. It's why in 81 Days, he's Twilight's valet. She has her race around the world. Twilight cannot get around the world in 80 days. Spike has to get her there, despite her best efforts.
Pencil, how does this make you feel?
How could this happen to me? I've made no mistakes. Anyway.
Well, last but not least, we're wrapping up at this point. And Jaxie, Rob, I've loved having you guys on here. You guys gave us so much insightful information about speed writing and what goes into your guys' creative process. If there's been any questions that people maybe have wanted to ask, or maybe we're in this thread, but we just didn't have time to get around to, what would be the best way for them to reach out to you in a way that doesn't feel like bad?
I mean, if you want to speed write, we have our speed writing server. But since I am not actually there most of the day by virtue of working a job with long hours, you shoot me a message on Fanfiction, I will get back to you.
And Rob?
I am best reached on Discord, which is ROBCakeran53, is my fanfic username, with the number symbol 6584. And it should be the Screaming Big Mac face, because I don't change shit. But otherwise, you can also PM me on Fanfiction. I will read those. I will check them. I might be slow sometimes because I'm doing other things all the time. But I will eventually get to them.
Hooray! Well, thank you once again, you guys, for taking the time to come on and talk a little bit about My Little Story, Quills and Sofas, speed writing competitions, whatever its actual name is. But
Yeah, I don't even know what it is. Last time I knew it was Quills and Sofas, so I don't fucking know what's going
Quills
on.
and Sofas is the name. My Little Story is the name of the Discord server. I got them confused. I'm tired, and also I've been drinking every time we say the word writing.
It is okay, honey. You done the good. Also,
Actually, I've just been drinking every, 2 minutes, so...
I'd also like to take a moment to thank our top donator today, an anonymous user who donated 100 bits. Thank you so much. They'll go right to the horses.
Yay!
Hey, good job, boyo.
Until next week, everyone, your bartenders for this evening have been a non-pencil. Enigmatic.
Jesus, fuck!
That's Thingpone.
Yeah.
Install Shadow Rays now for gold.
Flammenwerfer.
Don't you see?
Milk.
Breathe.
Our amazing guest, GaPJaxie.
Yo.
Rob's here.
Yo!
My name is a sack of garbage, and we'll see you next week. Bye-bye!